Hi, I'm Jasma. Let's make a Black Forest cake with 3 chocolate layers filled with a stabilized whipped cream, fresh cherries, and wrapped with white chocolate to give it a really sleek and elegant festive look. So it starts with a chocolate cake. Get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Also line all of your cake pans with parchment paper so you don't risk the cake sticking to it. And then you can begin making the batter. This batter breaks down into the dry ingredients and then 2 different wet ingredients. We're going to start with the chocolatey part. In a bowl, mix together the unsalted butter, hot water, instant coffee granules, and cocoa powder. Cocoa powder would usually go into the dry ingredients, but by introducing it to the hot liquid, we're blooming it by letting it dissolve and release its true flavors, and it makes the final cake have so much more depth and flavor. Let this sit for a little so the hot water can melt down the unsalted butter and dissolve the coffee and cocoa powder. Set that aside, then moving on to the dry ingredients, combine the all-purpose flour, cornstarch, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Then for the second batch of wet ingredients, mix together the Greek yogurt or sour cream, flavourless oil, white granulated sugar, and your eggs. With all 3 parts ready, we're going to add the chocolate mixture to the wet ingredients first. Make sure this has cooled down slightly though so it doesn't scramble the eggs. Then sift the dry ingredients into the combined wet ingredients to avoid any lumps and also to incorporate more airiness into the cake. And fold with a large whisk until the batter is smooth. Try not to overmix this. The cake batter is ready, and I have my cake pans here lined with parchment paper on the bottom. You want to get these ready before you make the batter so you don't let it sit for too long. Now, I'm very particular about my cakes, so I like to measure out the amount of batter I put into each cake pan. This isn't necessary, but it looks better in the end and also helps the cake bake more evenly, because if they're all the same thickness, then they take the same amount of time, which means that you won't risk over baking certain cakes and under baking other ones. This recipe makes 3 8-inch layers, and each pan holds 350 grams of batter before it's baked. Now that the oven is preheated, this is going to go in for around 18 to 20 minutes, but it may vary for you depending on your oven. While the cakes are cooling, now is a good time to prepare the cherries, which is a crucial part of a Black Forest cake. I prefer to use fresh cherries in my cakes, but using canned cherries is a very popular choice, especially if due to seasonality you can't get your hands on fresh ones. I have a whole container of fresh cherries from Costco, which I have washed and dried, and I separated out some with the stems still attached, which I'm going to use as garnish for the top of the cake later on. The rest of them is going to go inside the cake as a filling, so I've removed the stems, and now we have to remove the pits because it would be a crime to leave that inside the cake. And the very simple way to do this is to just use a straw. I have a very thick one here, but all you have to do is nudge it through the bottom of the cherry and push it through until the pit comes out the other end. You can also use a chopstick to do this, but it might be a bit messier. And once all the pits are removed, just cut all the cherries in half and they're ready to go. The cake layers are completely cooled. During the wintertime, I just crack open a window, leave it in front of there, and it kind of speeds up the process. I'm going to remove the cakes from their pans. You can use the help of a butter knife to loosen it from the rims. Peel away the parchment paper, and then level off the top of each layer. You just want to trim off a tiny layer, and you can snack on the scraps as you make the rest of the cake. This is important in upholding the structural integrity of a cake. I use my trusty cake leveler because I don't trust myself with just a serrated knife. This one's from Wilton, but there are lots of options out there, and I'll link them for you in the description below. Traditionally, Black Forest cakes would also make a cherry liqueur simple syrup to soak the layers with, but I personally prefer to skip that step, so we're gonna go straight to the frosting. I'm making a stabilized whipped cream for this, and this is pretty much my go-to frosting for everything. First, combine the cold cream cheese with the icing sugar and pure vanilla extract. Begin mixing on medium speed until the cream cheese has incorporated with the icing sugar, scraping down the sides when necessary. Then whip it on high until the cream cheese is fluffy. Slowly stream in the cold whipping cream, and I like to do this in increments, scraping down the bottom between each time to ensure that you don't end up with bits of cream cheese on the bottom and properly whipped cream on top. And once all the cream has been added, keep mixing this on medium to medium-high speed until a stiff peak has formed. Make sure not to over-whip this. To assemble the cake, I'm using my probably favorite tool when it comes to cake making, and that is this adjustable ring mold. And this just offers a lot of support for when you're stacking the cake. So start with one layer, put the ring around it, and it's really great because you can adjust it to whatever size you want. Using an ice cream scoop for even distribution, add on a layer of the frosting and spread it out using an offset spatula. For the cherries, you want to be generous with the distribution, but still only laying on one flat layer. And I like to fill in the gaps with a little more frosting so that the next layer of cake can stick to the frosting and not only sit on top of the cherries. And then just repeat the process. For the last layer, you want the bottom side up so it's perfectly flat. I let this chill for a little bit with the ring mold still on so that the filling gets a chance to solidify, and now I'm going to take it off and cover the entire cake with my frosting. When it comes to covering a cake with whipped cream, I don't really bother with the crumb coating and then chilling and then more frosting on top because this doesn't function the same as buttercream, so there's really no point in doing that in my opinion. But in the end, this is all getting covered up with the decor and the chocolate, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Then for the final bits of decor, I loaded the rest of my cream into a piping bag with a round tip. I'm gonna pipe some big dollops on top and garnish with my reserved fresh cherries. This cake is looking great as is. You can add a few finishing touches and leave it at that. But I'm going to create a white chocolate wrap for the sides of the cake. So I'm gonna measure out the height of this cake. And to ensure you're able to wrap around the entire cake, you need the circumference of it, which you can just calculate based on the diameter of your cake pan, which for mine is 8 inches. Then with those measurements, you want to create a long sheet using some parchment paper, which we're going to spread on some melted white chocolate candy melts onto to transfer it onto the cake. Parchment paper is ready, so I'm gonna melt down the white chocolate candy melts. Now this is different than regular white chocolate because chocolate melts are kind of meant for molding. It makes it a lot easier to work with because you don't have to temper it. Otherwise, it's going to be really soft, dull, and flimsy, and it's a nightmare to work with if you aren't familiar with chocolate. Even I avoid it at all costs. So candy melts just allows you to skip past all of that. It's so much easier to work with. It does, however, set pretty quickly, so you want to work fast, especially when it's colder. So pour all of the chocolate onto your sheet of parchment paper and spread that out as flatly as possible with an offset spatula. Pick that up and transfer onto the sides of your cake, making sure that the bottom is lined up with the cake stand and everything is level. Wrap the parchment paper around the sides of the cake. Try to avoid any large air bubbles, but you can smooth them out afterwards. And make sure the two edges are overlapping and sealed tightly. And to create the ruffle, you want to do this before the chocolate begins hardening. Just push the edges of that chocolate wrap inwards until the parchment paper holds its shape. Then just leave it alone and let the chocolate set completely. Against a cold cake, it really shouldn't take that long, but once it has, you're able to peel away the parchment paper, which you want to do really gently and slowly so you don't risk cracking the chocolate. And when reaching the part where the chocolate is overlapping, you want to be very gentle when breaking it off. This is one of those cakes on my channel that's a little more high maintenance, and I know it's not the most practical, but it's just something that makes me happy, and I think it's worth the effort for the holidays. So when you're ready to serve this cake and you don't want the chocolate wrap that you worked oh so hard on to be completely destroyed, the way I get really clean slices is to use a warm knife to melt down the chocolate in the places where you intend to slice. This way you can still get that really clean cut and an intact chocolate fleece for each of your slices. Even if you don't intend to decorate your cake this exact way, I still hope that it inspires you to get in the kitchen and make something. This will be the last video of 2022, so happy holidays to you all, and I will see you in the new year.